Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and we're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But first, kind of want to gauge your reaction. I've been thinking a while about changing the name of this channel, just as I become more and more and more disillusioned with our world a little more each day. From Spilling Tea over to the Jaded Autistic. My reasoning behind this is if you take from pretty much all of my rants, they all come to the same things in the end. All I want people to do is think before they act. You know, but you all try to drill it into our heads along with all the other shit. But as I sit there and continue to watch individuals who absolutely point blank refuse to use their heads and just knee-jerk react to everything and just believe people immediately, I'm becoming more jaded and jaded every single day. And I'm telling you folks, when I came out of high school, I thought I was pretty jaded. There's a lot of issues we discuss on this channel, isn't there? But as we go through the situations with JRC, the JD versus AH, and all of it, two things continue to amaze me. The level of hatred for individuals because they are how they are born, and what people are allowed to get away with because we were born the way that we were. That continues to blow my mind. And this new form of thinking, which is supposed to be progressive and right, that encourages basically for you to not think, to not question, to basically regurgitate talking points as though they were your own, and then getting downright hostile when anyone like me comes along and questions you, not off of our knee-jerk reactions, but off of facts, and how you will emotionally lash out at anyone who encourages you to sit down, stop a moment, and think. I've never seen anything like this. I can't even explain what happened that we are in the state that we are when we have so many people allowing themselves to be yanked around by the seam of their pants and just blindly going with what the media tells them, and then they tell themselves they're woke. Because that's not being woke. Buying what everybody is selling line for line is not being woke. Woke is thought, effort. Means not reacting. It means looking at a situation. But somehow, my generation that came up with this concept, the anti-PCers, yeah, you see where I'm going, right? You've taken a concept that we came up with for very logical reasons, and you've turned it into a joke. Now, am I one of those fucking right-wing fucking dumbasses? No. We all know I'm not. They hate me just as much as the others do. Thinking is not a bad word. questioning the things the media puts out there is not bad. It means you're thinking. Quit allowing people to bully you into compliance, to regurgitate their talking points. Quit allowing people to bully you into not thinking. Just saying. Now let's get to the disclaimers. In the description box, you're going to find a link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's quote-unquote behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill. Please read that article and share on all your social media. Also, I want to elaborate and make something real clear from my last video before we go on with the disclaimers. I will reiterate again. I'm not saying there's not situations out there with parents and individuals who are trans that are not toxic as fuck and scary as hell. Because I'm not a liar. There are a lot of situations out there that are fucking terrifying. And I stand behind those individuals 100%. I need you to know this. The problem comes when we have an individual who speaks in general to all kids without understanding their situation whatsoever. Telling you to isolate yourself from the individuals who are closest to you. This is what I mean by knee-jerk. The best way to not be gaslit is to use critical thought. The best way to not be led around by someone who does not have your best interests at heart is to stop knee-jerk reacting and emotionally responding to everything and taking a moment to think. If something feels like a red flag and you push past it, don't. Coming as someone who's done that and lived to regret it, don't. That flash of warning your gut is giving you, pay attention to it. There's a reason why it's there. This is coming from a girl who saw that red flag and kind of waved it goodbye as I ran past it and has regretted it every single day of my life ever since. All right? I just wanted to clarify that. Now moving on. Speaking of the NeuroClastic situation, we also included their public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding folks in case they have the balls to see through with their threat. We also have the article from Ozarks First in regards to Agape Boarding School, now known as Stone for Help Boarding School. This is a so-called Christian-themed boarding school, speaking of pedophiles and groomers, that take in so-called troubled male teens that has and pending over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all which have been substantiated due to the hard evidence gathered by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child trafficking, starvation, and that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another, a doctor who's still on the premises with full access to the boys, up on multiple claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault, again, all which have been substantiated. You've got an attorney general too busy attacking the girls out here, drag queens, and how dare women have short sleeves in Senate chambers, than to actually care about the real pedophiles out here. And you've got a governor whose off is nuts. So send help. Please share that article on all your social media. We got the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shots campaign as well, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masumba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, A clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Aunt Jerry McCollins back in 2002, and the ever-present self-explanatory Change.org Shut the Judge Burtonburg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, folks, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please go ahead and use your headphones, all right? This channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity and we speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger, they are watching this, parental supervision, very much advised. All right, before we go and talk about Dr. Matthew Israel here, right, just fucking ugh. I hope I have not, you know what, fuck it, I don't care if I offend you. I'm past giving a fuck at this point. If you can't see what's in front of your face, if you would rather live in fucking ignorance, I don't even know what to tell you anymore. You know? I don't even know what to tell you. Other than you're wrong. You're wrong to ignore evidence because you're too attached to an agenda to care about when people are having their lives destroyed. You're wrong to knee-jerk react to fucking everything. This is how people get fucking targeted. This is literally how the fucking witch trials got started. Literally, it all started there. People reacting, people not thinking. Come on, folks. Look at yourselves. No, I want you to go right now, go look in a mirror. I don't, no excuses, no bullshit. Take that actual look in the mirror. Start making some goddamn changes. All right. Now, trigger warning. We are about to descend into the lunatic mind of Dr. Matthew Israel. You're going to hear lies, gaslighting, victim blaming, abuse and torture apologencia. Enough ableism and bigotry to circle the globe a few thousand times, all coming from a man with a massive ego and even larger God complex. So be prepared for the stupid, all right? The stupid hurts, folks. Like, watching this world, it fucking hurts like a motherfucker, just saying. Which I'm sorry, I said that before the disclaimer. This channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity and speak on dark subjects. If your child's 16 and younger, yeah. All right, moving on, because Tiffany can't brain today. Literally, the stupid has gotten to a level that it is starting to short-circuit my fucking brain. All right, children are secluded for months at a time. This is completely false. Like most schools, JRC makes no use of seclusion or timeout rooms. Lie. Doctor, tell me, what does loss of privileges mean? You have this in your handbook as a consequence for behaviors. May I remind you, doctor, that a part of a loss of privileges means that individuals are not allowed to talk to their friends when in school, including in the hallways. They're not allowed to talk back to teachers. In fact, they're told repeatedly not to speak out. Now, that may not be physical isolation, but it's certainly some kind of isolation. You do not allow these individuals to mingle with the students even when they're inside their own homes. Even a grounded child is allowed to move about the house, doctor. If that's not isolation, what the fuck is it? What about the fact that we know from the Aunt Jerry McCollins incident and from his paperwork that you would leave them in a room bound by all fours for hours on end? No, doctor, let's take you further back than that. What about in California where you left a student tied to a pole outside for hours. What do you call that? Is that not isolation? Is that not a version of timeout? This is what I mean about using critical thought, folks. When something doesn't make any sense, it's because it's probably not true. If a student ever has to be removed from his or her classroom to a different room for reasons of safety, a staff member always accompanies the student, continues the student's program in that room. You realize how that sounds worse, right, doctor? This is another episode of saying, we don't do that, but we actually do. And we're going to double down. And not only do we do that, but we torture them, for their and the other students' safety. The fuck, doctor? The actual fuck? Really? Really? Because it's exactly what you're doing. You're isolating them. You're isolating them socially and physically. And you are using the very, very paper-thin excuse that it's for their own safety. It was for their own safety, doctor. Why are you having them being shocked and tortured in their room? Continuing their program. Yeah. I see your bullshit, doctor. The student is given academic or other tasks designed by the teacher, is prompted and rewarded for doing them, is never allowed to be alone. Let me explain this to you like you're a 2-year-old, doctor. It is considered isolating when a staff member or responsible adult will isolate and single out a student, not allow them any other interaction with their peers, continue torturing them behind closed doors, will teach them in their rooms. What are you teaching them? What are you teaching them? Come on now. There's a word for that, but they're never allowing the staff. It's still isolating, Karen. When you are not allowing an individual to interact with their peers in spite of being together with everyone for their fucking school. There's a word for that. The fact that you will not allow them to interact once they enter into their own homes. Most kids who are grounded are still able to interact with their siblings and their fucking parents, doctor. That is the definition of isolation. But they're not. They're never alone. You are secluding them, doctor. Someone who's worked in the fucking mental health field with individuals who are people with disabilities and mental health issues who were severely abused. That's exactly what you're doing. Exactly what you're doing. And you can say it's for everyone's safety all you want to, but it's bullshit and we all know it. So what are we learning from this episode, kids? Other than the usual, Matthew Israel is a liar. Well, we're learning once again that this school likes to do this little double back thing. Well, they'll tell you and swear up and down that they're not doing something, and then we'll say, yeah, okay, maybe, okay. But it's not real isolation because it's a staff member. Fucking seriously. A staff member that they are told that they are not allowed to speak to unless spoken to, and that's not isolation? Ever been to a jail, doctor? Ever hear about people who've been put in the isolation cell? Because that's how that shit works. They call it isolation because that's what it is. It's what most logical people know. That's what that is. we're going to go ahead and close on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit those comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.